David here with Figboot on Pens. Today I'm going to be talking about a very, very special pen. And when I mean special, I don't mean a little special, I mean a lot special. And that pen is the Classic Pens LB5. What I'm going to do today is go over some of the history of Classic Pens and the LB series. We're going to go over some of the parts and the features of the pens, some of the things that I care for, some of the things I don't care for. Go over some measurements, some size comparisons, and then I'll provide a writing sample. Classic Pens is a company that was formed in England in 1987 by two gentlemen, Andreas Lambro as well as Keith Brown. And their goal was to create exclusive lines of fountain pens. They started off with what was called the CP series, where they took flagship models from different pen companies and created limited edition series, typically with the pens covered in sterling silver and customized by Classic Pens. I believe the first in the line was the Schaefer Targa. In 1998, Classic Pens formed a full subsidiary in the United States and is currently based out of El Paso, Texas. The LB series derives its name from the founders of Classic Pens, Lambro and Brown. And this line has the goal of creating exclusive handmade limited edition pens that are crafted with a variety of quality materials and very unique techniques. And the LB5 is obviously the fifth in the series of this LB line. Before it, there was the LB 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the LB5, I believe, has been the most popular. The LB5 series is comprised of 7 pens, each finish being a limited edition of 50. And here are some pictures of each model from the Classic Pens site, used with their permission. Their photographer is much better at capturing the beauty of these pens, and so I thought it would be easier to show you some of those. First we have the Tensui, which means raindrops, in space blue with gold plate trim. Then there is the Tairiku, which means continent, in marble white. Then there is the Midorigi, excuse my Japanese pronunciation, which means new green trees, in forest green. There is the Kaen, K-A-E-N, which means violent flames, in flame red. Then there is the Koseki, which means metal ore, in diamond brown. The Tairiku, again, which means continent, in amethyst mauve. And then finally the Tensui, which is raindrops, in space blue with rhodium plate trim. And here's a look at them all together. They complement each other really well, I think. Both Man Armstrong from the Pen Habit and Dan Smith from FP Geeks have excellent reviews of the LB5. And in their reviews, they wax eloquently about the wonder that is the LB5. And I thought to myself, I mean, could this really be true? Could this pen be this great? Could this be the best pen that I ever own? And so I was intrigued. And I decided to pick one up and find out for myself if the hype was real. And lo and behold, yes, the hype is real. And this truly is an amazing pen. So we're going to start by taking a look at it. It comes in this box. And then inside is just a little congratulations, and there's a certificate of authenticity signed by Andreas, or Andy as he's known in the pen world, as well as the Senior Executive Director of Sailor Pens in Japan. And it tells you what number it is. This particular number is 22. And then we have the box. And the box kind of complements the pen inside, and I purchased the Tensui with the rhodium trim. So let's take a look at this. And this is actually the very last one of the 50 that was available. Now obviously people can resell them, but of the original 50, this was the very last one that is available anywhere. And so this is the Tensui raindrops in space blue. And I liked this pen so much that I actually went out and purchased another one. And so what I actually purchased was, it comes in this red box, the Koseki which is the metal ore in diamond brown. And well, as we're doing this review, we'll kind of take a look at the diamond brown, just mainly because I think it really shows off the material just a little bit better. They are both amazing pens, and I love them both in their own special way, but I think just as far as showing off the material, that this diamond brown does a real excellent job of this. The LB5 is based off of the Sailor King of Pen, or King Prophet as it's also known. And the LB5 is actually 5 millimeters longer than the standard King of Pens, or King Prophet. The materials that are used in the LB5 is what really set it apart. The acrylic is cast in Italy by a company named by the name of Synthetica, and then it is sent along to a company by the name of Carvel in England, who is a world leader in the machining of acrylics. And the process in which they use is called diffusion bonding. Normally, the acrylics would be adhesed together. Some kind of adhesive would be used to bond it. But what they use in diffusion bonding is really they actually bond the material on very thin layers of this acrylic in a molecular level, which makes for a much stronger material. And that these very novel materials and processes result in a material which can cost up to 50 times what a regular acrylic does. And then the material is cut kind of up and down so that you can really see all of the thin layers. Here's a picture of the diamond brown. You could really see how it moves in here. And how it looks. And then here's also a picture of the Tensui. One of the very few things that I would change about the Tensui model is that the layering really doesn't show up that well unless you have a really bright light. It's there, but it's just not as present in most lighting situations. And that here on the diamond brown, the transition shows up a lot better. And actually, as the light moves, just the way the light reflects off of the material, it's almost like it gives us a life presence as you twist it around. It is truly amazing. So let's go over some of the parts of the pen. Here on the finial, we just have a round finial. There's no logo or anything like that on it. Then there is a silver cap band, and again on the Tensui, this one is the only model that actually has rhodium plating. So everything is the same except for this is rhodium, and then all of the other 6 models have gold trim. Then they have a typical Sailor clip, which is nice. It has a decent amount of spring to it, and it's not attached to the band here. It's actually separated below it. Now I'm not sure if it's attached actually on the inside, and it's technically the same piece of metal, but on the outside it's not connected. Then something that really sets this pen apart from most King of Pen models is this very large cap band, and that on the band it says Sailor LB5, and then we'll have the name of the pen. And then it also has the number. On the diamond brown here, this is number 20, or actually 34 of 50. And then I have number 22 of 50 on the raindrops. Then what you can do is you can unscrew the cap, and here is this glorious 21K nib. Here's the rhodium plated nib. And then here it is in the gold as well, and here it is side by side. You can see it has the 1911 on it, which is the year that Sailor was founded, as well as the Sailor Anchor and 21K and 575, and then the Sailor logo and Japan. And then actually on the side of the nib it says M for medium, which is both of these pens are medium nibs. These pens actually come in medium or fine, or they also come with a cross point nib. And here's a look at the plastic feed. Sailor nibs are some of my favorite, and these medium nibs are spectacular. While I typically prefer a Western medium, there's just something about this Japanese medium Sailor nib that blows me away. It has a little bit of feedback, but is not too toothy, which is how I find some Western finds. And for me, personally, it's just about perfect. We have the section, which is a bit on the thick side, which I enjoy. It's not a lengthy section, and that it transitions into the threads. There's a little gold band here, and the threads aren't sharp at all. And the body slowly tapers down, and there's another gold ring here at the back, and then it tapers down even more. And that if we open this up, you can see that this is a cartridge converter pen. It has a very nice ink window in here as well. I do think it's nice that they match the interior of the pen with the exterior trim. The gold has the gold interior, and then as you can see here, that the silver has the silver interior. Would it be nice if this was a piston fill? Yeah, I guess it would be nice for the extra ink capacity, but I like to change inks on a regular basis, and so I don't mind that at all. And obviously, with all of this metal here in the section, you're not going to be able to use this as an eyedropper at all. Now, the LB5 is a very expensive pen. It typically retails for about $1,200, and I was able to get a bit of a discount on my second one for being a repeat customer, but this by far is the most I have ever spent on a pen. And I'm not going to attempt to justify the cost because it just really comes down to a personal decision. At this price point, you're really purchasing something other than a pen. You're buying a piece of art. You're buying an heirloom. You're buying something that will literally last you a lifetime. I have a lot of pens. At last count, I had about 135 pens. But I feel a connection with the LB5s that I don't feel with any others. And it's not just because of cost either. There's just something about it that connects with you and makes it more than just another pen in your collection. I haven't regretted the purchase of these pens at all. I love them. They are wonderful. I bring a pen to work with me every day. And every Sunday, I sit down with my spreadsheet that I use to track my pens and plan out my week. You can see I have another video that goes over this spreadsheet. And, I really try to match pens to days. And what I mean by that is that, in my opinion, there's definitely, Monday pens, there's middle of the week pens, and then there's definitely Friday pens, like a Mont Blanc 149, and that's a Monday pen, in my opinion. A Lamy Dialogue 3, that's a good middle of the week pen. Something like a Keras Customs ink, that's a good Friday pen, especially on casual Friday when you have jeans or something like that. But I try to cycle through the vast majority of my collection so that everything gets used on a somewhat recent or somewhat regular basis. And that it's very difficult not just to slot these two pens on Monday and Tuesday for the rest of my life. They are just that good. The materials are gorgeous. The craftsmanship is impeccable, and the writing experience is sublime. If you're potentially interested in purchasing an LB5, the best resource would be to contact Andy Lebrow directly. He'd be able to let you know whether or not a particular model is in stock or which retailers might actually have them. And his contact information is readily available on the Classic Pens site. I believe as of right now they do have a few available. There's no more of the Tensui, but I believe some of the white and the brown and the red and possibly the green are still available. So what I'm going to do now is go over some measurements, we'll do some size comparisons, and then I'll provide a writing sample. So here we go with some size comparisons for the Classic Pens LB5. And just as an overview, there we have the Koseki, and you know what, I apologize if I am just butchering these Japanese names, but this is metal ore and diamond brown, and then this is the Tensui, which means raindrops, and this is in the space blue. So just as some comparisons, this is a Sailor King of Pen in ebonite, and you can see that it is just about 5 millimeters smaller than the LB5. And then some other comparisons, this is a Mont Blanc 149, and then we have a Pelikan M1000. So you can see that the LB5 is a very large pen. Something I didn't mention in the review is that it does post, and it does post well and securely, but the pen is long enough to where I rarely feel like I need to post this pen. It's comfortable in your hand. It has a significant weight to it, but not too heavy. But the cap does add a significant amount of weight to the back, and I typically don't use it capped, but it can be capped. And then some other size comparisons. We have a Visconti Hall of Music, which has a magnet in it, so it's actually playing with that. Then we have a Lamy All-Star, and then here it is with a TWSBI Eco. So you can just see how we're talking about a fairly large pen here. Let's get these aside. So we'll get on with a writing sample. We have the Classic Pens LB5, and this one, we'll just call it the Diamond Brown. And this is a medium nib, and as I said in the review, they're available in medium or fine or a cross point nib as well. And the ink I have here is Mont Blanc, Toffee Brown. Toffee Brown is one of my more recent brown inks. I've kind of been getting into brown inks lately. It helps when you buy a really nice brown pen that just matches with this. But I've always really liked the Mont Blanc ink bottles, and the Toffee Brown is a very nice brown that has some decent shading to it. In color, it's somewhat similar to the Faber-Castell Hazelnut Brown. And then just as a comparison, the SBRE Brown, which I like very much, is a little bit on the lighter side in comparison. And then here for the Tensui, just so we can show this pen as well, that we have, we'll just call it the Tensui, and this is Raindrops in Space Blue. And again, this is a medium nib. And this is Iroshizuku Konpeki. And this is one of my favorite inks. I know it's very popular, but it's a blue that has a bit of a pop to it and a decent amount of sheen, and I really like it. Similar to something like Private Reserve Naples Blue, which is another one of my favorite blues. And then another blue I recently picked up is the Ackerman Shocking Blue. And while it's a little bit darker, it is another blue that has a bit of a pop to it. So all three of those are some of my favorite blues. So here we go with the rest of the writing sample, and we'll use the Tensui with the Konpeki just because I think that shows up nice. Dog. This large 21K nib does have a bit of flex to it, and you can get a decent amount of line variation out of here. With just a little effort, you can start getting a decent amount of variation out of here. And in regard to wetness, it's a decently wet nib. It's really never had a problem drying up for me. And that it, in regard to reverse writing, it isn't scratchy at all. The line is very, almost like an extra fine, but it is not scratchy at all. And then in regard to some fast writing, there's no problem at all. That this nib has, on both of my LB5s, is just amazing. It is decently smooth with just a little bit of feedback. And like I said, the Sailor medium nibs are pretty much some of my favorite nibs that I own. They're just amazing. So we have the Classic Pens LB5. And that, you know, it is truly a remarkable pen that I enjoy very, very much. You know, these are not just pens to me. These are possessions that I am proud and honored to own and enjoy them immensely. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later.